Welcome to Duo Chat with Brittany
and Cynthia, where we talk about drama shows
like Dawson's Creek, One Tree Hill, and more. Hi everyone, I'm Brittany.
And I'm Cynthia.
And today we're talking about Season 3, Episode 17, titled Who Will Survive and What Will Be Left of Them. Air date March 29th, 2006, and the synopsis is:
The aftermath of a school shooting and the death of Jimmy Edwards forces everyone in Tree Hill to examine their lives. Nathan reassesses his relationship with Haley, while Brooke and Rachel join forces to heal the student body. Dan must deal with the ramifications of shooting Keith, while Lucas and Peyton consider the implications of their kiss in the library.
So, the last one was March 1st.
Mm-hmm.
This one was March 29th, almost a month later.
Yeah, I noticed that.
That everybody had to find out what happened.
Yeah.
That's kind of crazy.
Mm-hmm.
Like, what other show does that unless it was like a writer's strike or something? But otherwise, because even if it's spring break, they just don't release the episode that week.
Mm-hmm.
They don't wait almost a month later, because this is 4 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
It's a long time.
Yeah.
To not even have one episode out.
Yeah.
That's weird.
Yeah, so it starts off with Keith and Dan in a field as kids.
I'm not gonna lie. I know season 3 and probably season 4 is a lot of like little Dan and little Keith. And it's always a lot. Because I feel like some scenes, like in the future, they keep going back to the same scenes when they were little. And I'm always like, I don't like it. Because I just feel like it's a waste of time. And I don't like the going back to when they were little kids. I'm like,
I don't even remember anything past this, so.
Well, this episode was a lot of little Dan and little Keith.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, okay, like I could have done one scene, but not the whole time.
No, don't they just show young Keith like not ghosting, that doesn't sound the same anymore. Haunting Dan in the present day?
Yeah, but couldn't the present day Keith just haunt him?
Well, I think they were done with Craig, so that's why they didn't bring him back.
I know, but they could have had like a flashback of Keith or something. Not like they did with Karen. We didn't need to see little Keith that
Well, Karen also didn't know Keith when he was that young either, so that's probably why. So
maybe, though. If they all grew up in the same town, they could have.
Yeah, but I don't think they were talking at the time, so.
I know, but I'm saying they did a flashback of Keith.
Right.
Of actual Keith.
Mm-hmm.
They could have done the same thing with Dan.
Maybe. Well, it makes sense because that was...
Like, remember when Keith took over for the dealership when Dan was at his heart attack?
Mm-hmm.
And remember how, like, it was, like, nice and civil? Mm-hmm. It could have been, like, that could have been, like, a flashback of, like, remember Dan when, like, everything was okay, but behind the wall, like, you were trying to sabotage him with Jules?
Mm-hmm.
It's like... but Keith was being nice to you and helping. Mm-hmm. It's like that could have been like a haunting moment of like, what did I do? Because like he was helping me in my time of need. Mm-hmm. That kind of thing, not like a kid thing that doesn't happen.
Well, to me it did because that was the time he was saying about anyways before he even killed Keith and how they used to be before really Dan ruined things.
Yeah, but you know I always say like, I don't really care for kid actors a lot.
No, I like them.
It's like, I just know it just seems like on One Tree Hill, especially with Dan and like these flashbacks of Keith or little Keith and little Dan are going to continue till he turns himself in. He's going to keep getting haunted. So it's really annoying.
Well, like I said, to me it makes sense. And plus, too, is a little background of how Dan ended up the way he was, like with killing the crow. When Keith was the one that wanted to nurse her back to health.
And he killed the crow.
He did. He dropped the rock on it. And, yeah, so that was just their way of, like, trying to make Dan guilty for what he did by having Keith, even the younger version, haunt him until he gave in. Because before, at the beginning, he's like, I don't care if you show up. I did what I did, and that's it. So, but I feel like the kid who played young Keith was in a decom. I'm trying to see who he was.
Mm.
I feel like he was in I could be wrong. He was in Stuck in the Suburbs. Do you remember that one?
Yeah, but I don't remember the
He was like the
kid.
little brother of Pantier. I think that was the sister. I think.
Stuck in the Suburbs was Danielle.
Okay, then Danielle, yeah. So her brother on there. Wait, where did I go? I think I went to the whole cast of the series. Yes, I did. Not this episode. Um, yeah. So then we get to Keith's funeral. Everybody is there. Hmm.
Missing people. First Peyton, and then I realized
Yeah.
maybe she's still in the hospital, so
Mhm.
I'll give her a pass. But this is my question though. Where in the hell is Deb?
Isn't she rehab or maybe hiding because she tried to kill Dan and Keith took the fall for it? Or
Her son was in a school shooting.
mm-hmm.
Where is she?
Then maybe it is rehab. I don't know.
No, she's already done with rehab.
Well, I don't know.
Yeah, she went to another town, but seriously, your son is in a school shooting. Where are you?
Mm-hmm.
So, really? I mean, and Keith is now gone. It doesn't really make any sense she wouldn't show up for her son to make sure he's okay. Ugh, Deb, terrible. So yeah, she was missing. And then at the funeral,
Yeah, like that kid was the brother in Second Suburbs.
so at the funeral though, the River Court boys weren't there. I saw like mouth, but I'm like, where was Junk and Fergie? I did not see them.
I didn't even notice.
Because like Rachel's there. I don't
Mm-hmm.
really know why, but Rachel's there. And then Brooke and Haley are next to each other, which is weird because if she's back with Nathan, she'd be up in the front with the family. And yeah, the River Court boys, like Junk and Fergie, were not there, which is weird because they like to talk a lot of how like Keith was a huge part of their lives, but then it's like, well, why aren't you at his funeral?
Right.
So I had an issue with that. Because, like, they're in, and here's the thing I could understand if they just didn't want to pay them to be in the episode, then I could understand that. But the problem was they were in the episode.
Mm-hmm.
How can you have them in the episode but not at the funeral?
Right.
It doesn't make any sense. Like, if you're paying them to be in the show for that episode, then you might as well have them in the scene. I mean, nobody's talking, so it's not like you have to pay them to talk because no one's talking. So it just doesn't make any sense that they wouldn't be there, especially because they were a part of Keith's life.
Mm-hmm.
It's annoying, actually.
Yeah.
Well, it's like the writing element of it. Like, how do you just not put these people in the most important times of their life?
Mm-hmm.
And also, if they're really close to Lucas, they should be there.
Right.
It's odd. Were they grounded or something?
I don't know. But yeah, so we see that this episode is made of different parts for each phrase of grief.
I can't.
Why?
I knew this episode was coming and I was not looking forward to it. Well, it's like on Dawson's Creek when they did each day. I was like turned off.
No, I think each emotion makes more sense to do.
No, tell me the show. I'm all about just like, I just want to see it play out. I don't care about like each emotion. But we're going to see the emotion in the episode, so just show it to me. Show it to me as if it was actually the reality of their lives, not an emotion.
Well, it basically is. That's how it works with grief and those different emotions.
Okay, but I would rather it play out instead of it playing out in parts.
Well, I liked it because it could show you exactly how each person went through everything, mainly Lucas and Karen. But maybe you can show other people that this is usually how it goes too when you lose someone that's close to you.
You can still do that in the show. It doesn't need to be broken up. You can still see, oh wow, Lucas is having a hard time.
Yeah, but
Oh well, okay, Karen's yelling at him. I mean, it's all still there. It just doesn't need to be broken up. But One Tree Hill does that a lot.
well, I liked it for this one because then I could compare my own grief with losing my father to Lucas's. So in a way, it helped me. So then after everything, Lucas and Karen are there by themselves, and then at Nathan's house, right,
Mm-hmm.
with Haley. They're gonna get ready to go to the after awakening back at Karen's house, and then they have their moment where Nathan says that he loves her, and it's also uncertain, and he tells her he never wants to get that close to losing her again. He wants her to be safe, and then they end up kissing, and then we see pictures of Keith with people from all points in life. The River Court kids, and then and just his family and everything. And then Bevan, Fergie, Whitey are in the kitchen. Bevan says a lot of people are there, going to be there for Keith, like 2000, because he always was there for everybody. And then Junk walks in and saying how everybody loved him, and he tells at the time Keith helped him by giving him a summer job because he knew he needed the money at the shop. And Fergie says that they talked about basketball with him all summer. And then, all the guys, him, Skills.
Yeah, Emma just had to say Jimmy too.
Yeah, that was really bold for Mel, since at the time they thought that he killed.
Mouth in this episode, the whole time, it's like on Mouth.
Mm-hmm.
All he can do is bring up Jimmy. What's weird is, like Jimmy said, in the past year, basically, you never thought of me. All of a sudden, he's gone, and now you're going to think of him?
Yeah, well, it was so sad the way that he went out, too.
No, it is, but Jimmy would not want Mouth to cry now and be sad now when you should have done that and been a part of his life when he was alive.
Mm-hmm.
It's the whole saying of don't be crying when I'm dead. Or don't be sending me flowers when I'm dead. Like, actually show up when I'm alive. And it's the same thing. Like, Mouth is only doing all this because he's guilty for not being there for Jimmy the past year. And it's just a bad look on Mouth. Plus, he's saying it in Karen's house
Mm-hmm.
with what just happened.
Yeah.
So I love when Lucas walked in and said, Jimmy killed my uncle.
Mm-hmm.
Even though obviously it's not true. But for Lucas, in this moment, it is.
Mm-hmm. And then apparently Dan might have been going toward or to Karen's house for Keith until he slams the brakes because he sees, well, first he thought it was just a regular boy, but then he sees it was young Keith again. And then, Dan is left shocked, probably thinking that he would only see the ghost of Keith at the cemetery. And then Karen is looking at a Keith Scott's body shop mug. And when she looks up, she sees Dan right there in front of the house. And, they look at each other, but then Dan takes off. Do you think that that's what he was going to do until the ghost of Keith stopped him? Go to the house?
Probably.
Yeah. Do you think Karen would have let him in, though?
No.
Yeah.
Because he wasn't nice to him when he was alive.
Mm-hmm. And then Peyton gets to the house with her dad. She's on crutches.
One question, though. Isn't this after Cinderella story?
Yeah.
Okay, so when her dad walks out, shakes Lucas's hand, I was like, oh my goodness. That's his TV movie dad.
Was this the first time they saw each other since the movie on this show?
I feel like it has.
They didn't have a
Yeah.
scene.
Well, they did when Ellie was in her bedroom. Remember? Because
Oh, yeah.
but Lucas didn't speak.
Yeah.
But this is the first time they're truly like acknowledging one another and shaking their hand. And I was just like,
Mm-hmm.
isn't that cute? I mean, obviously, if you didn't see a Cinderella story, then, you don't get it. But I was just like, that's so cute.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure it was probably like, hey,
Right.
hey, son.
Mm-hmm.
I wonder, like, when they go on to, like, do other things together,
Mm-hmm.
I do always wonder, like, what they think or what they say to each other, like, off camera that we don't know about.
Right.
Because you do wonder if there's a blooper of like, hey, did you see that blooper of Reba's new show? And what's his name? The one who played Van, the actor. He like walked in and he was like,
Yeah, I saw that.
And it was like the whole blooper of calling her like, Mrs. Hart and stuff, and the crowd went crazy over it, and obviously it's a blooper because but it's like they just had to do it. And but obviously if you didn't watch Reba, you don't know what the heck they're doing.
Right.
But it was kind of like that of like, I wonder what they do that obviously we don't know about. You wonder what they say to each other. Or it's you again.
Yeah. So then Larry goes up to Lucas, telling him he's so sorry, for Keith.
But then he's so happy and thanks him for saving his little girl.
And then Brooke goes up to Peyton and apologizes for not checking on her lately. She's just been with Lucas and Karen. Peyton understands.
Yeah, she says she's okay.
Yeah. I mean, I do wish that Brooke did check on her, especially after they were separated and everything,
Well, we know why she didn't check on her.
Why? Because of Lucas being in the library with her?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because she says it in the end. So it's like, that's why she was distant.
And then Payne goes to see Karen, and Brooke tells her to
But I have a question. I get why Brooke is distant with her, but why is Peyton? Like if Peyton, because even in the library, Peyton didn't want Lucas to bring anything up that happened in the library, like anything she said. So, because she wants to kind of forget it and it's embarrassing. So, why is she being like that towards Brooke when Brooke doesn't know?
Maybe because she just still feels guilty about it.
Because right away she was just like, I gotta go see Karen. And it's like, okay. I mean, did Brooke confront you yet about it? No. So it's just kind of weird that she's acting this way right now when it's not like Brooke knows about it. Like what actually happened in there. She knows Lucas saved her, but that's it.
Yeah. And then back at Nathan's house, him and Haley are in bed, and she asks him,
okay, it's just rude as hell.
Right.
Why are these two sleeping? And doing the deed, and they're supposed to be grieving at Karen's. I mean, that's Nathan's uncle, who, by the way, gave him a job and helped him with a car.
Right.
Wow, Nathan.
Yeah, and then Haley grew up with, around Keith as well.
Yeah. I'm just like, for two people that were part of Keith's life, even though Nathan kind of like say he wasn't, that's just awfully rude.
Yeah, they kind of took this episode as a way for Nathan and Haley to kind of like
get back together.
Yeah.
But I don't think it was needed in this episode.
Right, and especially this scene, this time.
I could see like the ending, them like doing this, but not when they're supposed to be at Karen. Like, and that's the thing too. Why didn't they just do this scene after they got back? It'd been like, it's a really long day. Like, I'm so, like, after grieving, like, being on everyone's so sad today, I'm just so happy that we have each other and I don't want to lose you. He could have done the whole thing after they had went to Karen's all day. Because it was a lot of emotion that would have brought out the same exact thing. But why did they have to do it where they have to miss it? And then and then think about it. Everyone's going to want to know where they are. Like, I'm not saying Karen and Lucas because they're busy, but everybody else.
Yeah.
They'd be like, where are Nathan and Haley? What are they doing?
Right.
It's just kind of weird.
And then, they talk about moving back in together.
And he wants to be her husband again.
And then Haley brings up Brooke and all the, things they have to discuss and think about.
So he said that basically almost losing her made him realize none of that matters. Sorry, but it still does. But just like, again, the only reason why you want to get back with her is because you almost lost her. I mean, so basically, if that whole day didn't happen, you would still be in limbo with her.
Right, yeah.
Okay, I'm sorry, but if someone's gonna just be with me because they're afraid I'm gonna get shot or something, no. Because again, that's just your fear. But if your true emotion right before that was, I don't know if I really want to get back with you, like fully. And because he even said the episode right before, which was what, probably the day before or the night before, he said to her in the dressing room that he doesn't know if he can truly give her his heart again and like all the emotion. Remember, he said he doesn't know if he can get like emotional, like have that with her. And then all of a sudden, now you can. I'm sorry, but and again, it'll fade, as in you realizing you could lose her, and then you're gonna be right back where you were.
Right.
I just wish them getting back together. I just wish that last episode wouldn't have happened, where him saying he doesn't know if he can do it. Because then this doesn't add up. Because now because then just my whole thing is you're only getting back with her because you're afraid of losing her. You could have lost her before that. I didn't like it. I wish it would have been truly his thought, not because of a life-changing moment.
Right.
Because you shouldn't go off of a life-changing moment. You should go off of how you truly feel. So I just wish that he would have done that the episode before. I mean, after he had said everything, right? Why couldn't he, the last episode, have went to her house at night or something and said, like, I thought, like, just something. Like, that he thought about it, he changed his mind, and, like, because then it would make sense in this episode of, like, again, he's reiterating, I want to be with you. And then it would make sense. But we just had last episode where it didn't make sense. So that's why I just wish it would have been different.
Right.
For them.
And then back at school, the sign reads, "This is your school under Tree Hill High." And then turn on the PA system, welcomes them back. And they'll notice some changes. They have the metal detectors now and armed police presence on campus.
Peyton was kind of like rolling her eyes when her bag was getting checked.
I think because she didn't like the hassle of it.
Okay, but you're the one that got shot.
Right, yeah, so you think that she, would probably be one of the few that would be happy.
Yeah, and like comfortable, like, thank you for checking all of our bags. I feel like that would be like mine if I was Peyton. I'd be like, oh my God, thank you.
Maybe too, she didn't want to stand for that long with her crushes.
No, I think it was she didn't want her bag checked. She wanted to just walk right in school, and I'm sorry, but safety first. But yeah, I just didn't like that. I feel like of all people, like Brooke or something would have that attitude of like, I just want to, put my bag in my locker or something. Like, I didn't really think that it would be Peyton that did it, but she did.
And then Lucas stands in front of Jimmy's locker where there's a picture and paper underneath it so students can write messages around it.
This is a little...
Yeah, just...
Imagine. Okay, here's the thing. Nobody knows that he did it to himself and not to Keith. Nobody knows that. Well, except for Abby.
Well, I thought they figured it was like a homicide, murder, or suicide murder, where he killed Keith and then himself. I think that's what they probably thought.
Either way.
Yeah.
He, in everyone's head, besides Abby, everyone thinks he did it. And so my thing is...
And Dan.
And so my thing is, at this school, if everyone thinks that this person killed somebody,
Yeah, they wouldn't have that there.
You wouldn't have. I mean, think about all the school shootings. You really think they would have
Nope.
a little memorial at the person's locker with like flowers and candles and cards and all of this?
Yeah, like I can.
Are you kidding me? If he was the victim, then yes, but no, he did it.
Yeah,
What?
I feel like I can see Mouth doing this, but I can't see everybody else, leaving messages and the flowers and the cards and all that.
I feel like they would have had that Marcus guy's attitude of like,
Mhm.
why are we all caring about you when you're the one that did it?
Mhm.
I mean, he changed their world upside down. All of them, whether they were in the classroom or not, their world was shaken because it could have been them. So the fact that they're all going to just now mourn him,
Yeah. There were even some other people standing there as well.
saw these actions.
Mhm.
It's like, why? I don't get it. I could see like, yeah, Mouth trying to fight it, like, we need to have a memorial for him. And everybody's like, I don't think so. But the fact that it's already there, I'm like, what?
Mhm.
It was too much.
Yeah.
And it was too much, like too many people that had left things too. It wasn't like one thing. It was a lot.
Mhm.
And also, why do they have candles in the school?
Yeah, that
I
should be
mean,
a fire hazard.
you could burn the school down. So wow, the school got basically shot up.
Mhm.
Now it's gonna burn down?
Right.
Wow, this show has it all, doesn't it?
Mhm. And then Brooke walks up, trying to get Lucas to class, but he says, give him a minute. And that's when Turner on the PA system says, let him out.
I was like, don't say it, because Lucas is like, okay,
Mhm.
be right back. It's like, oh.
Yeah. Takes everything, rips the picture off.
When he does this, I get it. I totally get it. Because I don't agree. I mean, obviously he wasn't my uncle, but I just don't agree that you should be mourning somebody that did this. Okay, here's the thing. I don't think they should be mourning him either way. Because he still shot Peyton in the leg. He could have killed her. She could have bled out. So he still did it. He still brought the gun to school. So do I think that he should still be mourned? Oh, in school.
That's a place.
I don't think that you should mourn him at all because I'm saying at school because he did it and he changed everyone's lives. So for that simple fact, no. Because yes, we could say, well, we don't, like they don't know. They still know how they felt that day.
Yeah, you think that Russ or somebody would be like defacing his locker, if anything.
You thought, yeah, I would.
Scratching it or spray painting it, yeah.
Well, yeah, you would think he would have done what Lucas did. Or made went up there and would be like, why are we mourning this doofus? I mean, something. Because, he had a lot of things to say. Or Marcus coming back and saying something of like, I was in that room. Why are we caring about him? That kind of thing. If anything, why don't we have a little memorial in the hallway for Keith? Why are we having one for Jimmy?
Yeah, we find out later that Marcus left too, so I'm guessing at this point.
Well, I'm just saying we don't know that. But, I mean,
but yeah, I know.
It's just odd that,
not there.
But it's just odd that, we don't have anything for Keith. We just, in the school, we just have something for
and
the one who did it.
Yeah, and Keith went to the school too, so they should have.
Yeah, where he died is where they should have had a little memorial for him, not for Jimmy.
Yeah.
Also, so when it shows the reactions of everyone. It shows Brooke's reaction, and it shows Nathan and Haley. They're standing next to each other, fine, as they should. But when Lucas walks away and it has that wide shot, there's an extra in between Nathan and Haley.
Oh, I didn't notice.
I went back a few times and replayed it, and I was like, he kicks it. We get the reaction and he walks away. How is in that second, there's now an extra in between those two? Plus, given how this episode is all about how Nathan and Haley got to be stuck to each other, why would they all of a sudden separate for that? So for me, I was like, okay, clearly this is a shot of them doing 10 takes and finding which one was the best for Lucas. Because it doesn't make sense that an extra for the wide shot is in between Nathan and Haley.
Yeah, I feel like they could have just done something like if when he kicked everything, then like it scared like Nathan and Haley to like a point where they kind of like moved away from each other, but there still shouldn't be a person between them. Yeah, if anything.
It's right after he did it, and we got the reaction.
Yeah.
And then it's the wide shot, and I'm like, what? Because I was like, first, who's this blonde, like tall blonde next to Nathan? And I went back and I was like, why is Haley like way over there? I was like, that doesn't make any sense. That like you can totally tell there's an extra there.
Right.
And oh, and again, like too, like going to school, we knew who the couples were, obviously, right? No one's gonna get in the middle of the couple.
Right.
That was also odd. It was like, no matter what, even if that didn't happen, you're not going to get in the middle of the couple. So I thought that was odd too. I'm like, what? Unless it was like their friend or something, like Brooke, you know, like not understanding that there's something going on. But like, this is an extra. She is not part of their friend group, so there's no reason why she would be near them. Especially given that they're like bonded now at the hip. It just didn't make any sense. I was like, all right, so again, editing, because that would be an editing problem, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Also, though, when they redo it, you know, and they have to do the takes over and over from like different angles and all this, why would they redo it where those two are not next to each other?
I don't know.
Is it odd?
Well, didn't they show the aftermath of Lucas kicking everything? Maybe they didn't want to set everything back up for that.
Why's extra there?
I don't know.
Because
unless they filmed it out of order and that was the first one they did. No, he just ruined everything. So I don't know.
Because it's just odd. Because I'm like, why would you have even one clip of an extra there in between them? I could see if she was standing next to one of them, but not in the middle of them. So I'm like, even that, like whoever did that wasn't very good. Because if you would have saw what just happened, they were next to each other.
Right.
But yeah, the editing they should have really clocked that.
Yeah, so that was an introduction to the anger stage, and at the apartment, Brooke is looking at the material.
Is Lucas at school?
Just to try to take his mind off of things, maybe.
How long do you think it's been?
Maybe a week or so.
Yeah, Lucas should not be there.
I don't know. I went to my classes after my dad died, even the next day.
Huh?
Yeah. Because I don't want to think.
Because you don't want to be at home.
Yeah, I don't want to think about anything else. So. And then, so we're at the apartment. Brooke is looking at the material she ordered to make Karen stress.
But don't you think Lucas should have like stayed away the first day? Because the first day is where they're going to be talking about what happened. Of like, even like Principal Turner telling them like, oh, we have this room for like just going of like, we have counselors and all this. Like he should have maybe skipped that day at least.
Yeah.
And went the next day where Turner had already talked about it all.
And then Brooke tells Haley that she just ordered the material the night of the shooting, or the morning of the shooting.
That was sad.
Yeah, now she gets it in the mail. And then Haley...
also, that's pretty fast, ain't it?
I mean, I don't really know how that works with dress material, but I figure it's like everything else, unless it was really rare, then maybe it would take longer, but I don't know.
I feel like it seemed like it was a certain kind of material.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I mean, she was able to do something else with it, so maybe it wasn't that. Or, I don't know.
Well, because she made Haley's dress out of it.
Oh, I thought she made that blanket kind of thing at the end. Because Haley's like, this is Karen's dress material.
Yeah, but then
that was showing.
But then, like when it's Haley's, Haley goes to Karen and says Brooke still has the material, and she wanted to, and Karen said, yeah.
I guess maybe she used it for two different things then. Yeah, and then
Well, I mean, it's not material that obviously she could pick up at the store because she had to order it, so it had to be like special made.
Yeah.
And especially back in 2006, I feel like it would probably take a little longer than it does now. I mean, even now, I still feel like it might take a week if it was special made.
And then Haley decides to tell Brooke that her and Nathan are getting back together. And Brooke is happy for them, of course. And Haley says she's going to miss her. And she's become a really good friend.
Yeah. And she will, she'll move out when they find an apartment.
Mm-hmm. Right. Brooke tells her life's too short, so just go be happy. And then Larry's in Peyton's room asking how school was. Peyton says it was fine, she's just tired. And Larry says what the doctor said, so just for her to take it slow. Then he says he'll cancel his next run to be home with her. And Payne tells him that he can't protect her every second of every day.
Where was this protection when she was drugged?
Right, yeah. Or after Ellie passed, he could have been there for her.
He knows she died. But where was he?
And then he's not there for everything that's going to happen after either in the future.
Right.
Mm-hmm. And then when she's in a car crash, so still he never shows up again. And then
car crash.
Yeah, when in season 5 or 6, 6, yeah, 6, when she was driving and when she was pregnant, and that car hit her when she was going because they ran the red light.
Oh.
Yeah. And then
Huh?
Okay, she was driving the Comet. She was looking at that mom and daughter, thinking how that's gonna be her with her baby soon, and then she took off, and then the other person ran their red light, so they hit her.
Guess I don't remember that part.
Yeah. And then yeah, so Larry says that, he got that call saying she was hurt, and he only ever got one other call, and that's too many.
Yeah.
And then that's when Larry notices all the boxes in Payne's closet.
Which Ellie's, she says. And again, he's not missing. I guess it's because she's gone, right?
Well, I think he just knows how.
No, but he didn't want Ellie around Peyton. Now he's cool with it because she's gone.
No, I just think that he knows how much the records mean to.
It is, but I'm saying all of a sudden he's cool with it. But it's obviously because she's not here.
I think he was okay with it toward the end. Them getting.
Yeah, because he knew she was going to be leaving soon.
Maybe.
Like if she was healthy, he probably would have been like, not okay with it.
Well, he did say that it was up to Peyton, so. And then Lucas is lying in bed when he gets a text that says, "High school, you need this."
I didn't issue about that text.
Does it make sense? Or
no, because it's actually typed out high school. Right. And back then, you had to pay for every letter and stuff. So why wouldn't you do HS? Why would you do high school? Type the whole words. It didn't make sense to me. I'm like, that's a waste.
Well, I don't know if that was used as the shortening of high school back then or not.
Well, I feel like they could have.
Maybe, and I guess Rachel could afford it.
Well, why do you think people say their school names and it has HS in it? Because it's high school.
Yeah, I mean, that's just, I guess, to put everywhere they need to, I don't know.
Yeah, but it still has HS in it and it's high school. I feel like that was always the abbreviation.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't remember it being back then.
Well, we weren't in high school back then.
Well, I mean, even middle school, because people were texting at the time.
Well, nobody was saying, let's go to the middle school. Right. First of all, we would have said school. Mm-hmm. But it's just weird. They should have abbreviated it.
So then Lucas goes to the school, and she takes the Y off the sign. So now it says, our school, this is our school. And she says that nobody has all the answers, but they all have their whys. Like, why did this happen? Why didn't they see it coming? So with the reveal of that Rachel was the one that released the time capsule, you think that she would be the person that actually did have some of the answers and not really asking them? Because she actually knows why this happened? Yeah,
but she doesn't want anybody to know that.
Yeah, I know, I'm just saying.
Well, especially Lucas.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And they walk into the school, there's a lot of music and people, and there's bright lights, and Rachel says, "Welcome to detention." Everyone was partying. There's a keg, and Rachel leads him over to where Brooke and Mouth are.
agree with like Lucas
Hmm.
about it being appropriate or not.
Right, it depends, but yeah, they should have at least gave him a heads up of what he was walking into.
But how is this appropriate?
I don't know.
Well,
It shouldn't be at a
I
school.
don't even know that.
Yeah, it shouldn't be at the school if they were to have something like this.
So they're throwing a party for a disaster, like something that
Mhm.
happened.
Right.
And also, a lot of people who have went through it and have talked publicly about school shootings, they don't want to go back to the school.
Right, like Marcus.
So why in the world would they all be okay with going back to the school and having a party?
Hmm. And then how safe is the school now if they can just throw this party without anybody knowing?
Yeah. And how do you know someone else isn't going to bring other things to? Yeah.
Yeah, because if the metal detectors are off, yeah.
Yeah. Because if the security guards aren't there, then anybody can.
You think they would be too?
Yeah, but they don't know.
Yeah, I'm just saying.
They work until a certain time. But also, my question with this is when they say where each spot is, and they bring up the tutoring center.
Yeah, you think that's
It's like, okay, of the places.
Yeah, that's supposed to be the place for healing, apparently.
How?
Like, or help, get a little extra help.
Why would you want to go in there when that is the place Jimmy was for basically the whole dang time? I don't understand why the tutoring center would be the place to be used when it's where Jimmy was.
Threatening everybody.
Yeah, holding a gun. I don't understand why that's the place.
Yeah, that's the most unrealistic part of this whole episode.
Because if I wasn't in the room and I was like the kid that was outside, I would not want to go in there because that's where the shooter was. I can't think of a reality where I would be like, let's walk in here. Instead, I'd be like, even if I went to, like, I'd want somebody to tutor me, I'd say, can we do it anywhere else?
Yeah.
I mean, I would think nobody would want to go into the tutoring center after, even to be tutored, let alone to have a party. And also, doesn't make sense that Nathan and Haley would be in the tutoring center.
Right.
People, those two?
And then it's dark for some reason. That makes it spooky.
Look, I get that they're the only two that are there, but the fact that they're in there after what they had a gun pointed at them. Yeah. Why would they go? That's trauma. Isn't that trauma? Why would they walk in there? That was just so stupid. But clearly, what, all of a sudden these two don't have trauma anymore? Right. That's what I mean. Is now they made last episode very serious, and now this one is just kind of jokes, basically. Like, you really don't think Nathan and Haley would be like, let's not go in there. Like, it might be where they think they should go because, like, that's where they met, sort of. But at the same time, it's like, but that's also what just happened, and they could have lost each other. So it just doesn't make any sense that these two would go there. Like, Rachel shouldn't go there. Mouth shouldn't go there. It's just sad.
And then Brett tells Lucas if he needs to do this alone, she understands. But if he needs her, she's there. And then Lucas ends up walking into the library.
Are these two
right down the library?
Look like the library. Why?
It's also dark in there. It's not like the power is out and they can't use it, so.
Fire paint
yeah, again, another tutoring center thing, yeah.
These are the same two that were in here.
Yeah, you think they'd be avoiding each other after that?
Well, I would just be avoiding the area. You know, I wouldn't even want to go down that hallway. Would you?
No.
Okay, and here's the thing. Peyton was bloody from the moment she got shot, basically walking into the school. So don't you think the whole time, everywhere she had to drag herself, she wouldn't want to go? Because it would take her back to that day?
Yeah, and I'm sure the bloodstains are still on the floor, too. Unless they removed the carpet in that amount of time and redid it, but I don't think so. Yeah, so, Lucas says they should really stop meeting up like this, like as a joke. And she says she never thanked him for saving her. And he said it's okay, and she starts getting upset. And Lucas starts teasing her more, which was cool. She loves him and probably just wants to kiss him again. And she admits, yeah, she did that, but she thought she was going to die, and he took care of her. And then he starts quoting her that from that time. And she tries to explain herself, and Lucas says he does hold it against her, but
yeah, that was.
There's this other girl.
Oh my god, though, yeah, Lucas was just something else. He kept. God, and did you realize? Okay, did you realize that Peyton was basically the first one that could get him to smile?
No, I didn't know.
Says through this whole episode, he's just all dark and everything. But then as soon as he sees Peyton and he wants to make a joke out of what she said, and he's all, and I'm just like, whoa, like Peyton's the first person that he truly could smile with. Wink, wink.
Yep, that means something. But he says that she might know her. Her name's Brooke Davis, and he's completely in love with her. And Payne is happy because she thought it was going to be weird again, and she didn't want it to.
No, yeah, but Lucas still remembers.
Yeah.
That's a problem. Like, what if he just slips up one day?
Right. And then Lucas tells her that he's sorry about her mom, both moms. He doesn't feel like he's been there for her the way he should have, and he's sorry for that. And Payne tells him she knows that Keith would be proud of him right now. And Lucas says he doesn't know if that's true, and Payne says it is. And for Brooke to help him out with this, don't shut her up. And Lucas asks Payne if Brooke said something to her, and Payne says no, she just knows how he is. She's the same way. So that was like another pointer that they understand each other better than anyone else, and not their significant others that they've been with. And then she tells Lucas that Brooke gave him her heart, and he should give his back. So she even knows that Brooke doesn't have his heart.
Yeah.
And then he's again telling her not to go kiss anybody out there,
which was a little uncalled for.
Yeah. And then later on, Brooke finds Lucas and asks him to go dance with her. Just then, now this was really, really bad. This is, a Marcus guy, but a Marcus guy that didn't actually go through. That's why he felt like he could say it. Because he's saying that everyone head to the lockdown. There's a shooter in here, and shooters in the hallway, but he's actually talking about drinking shots. And just then, Lucas, like what Nathan did to Miles, grabs the kid and puts him against the wall, telling him to pull his head out of his ass and show some respect, which I'm glad he did that. And then Brooke follows Lucas outside. She tells him to stay, but he says he can't. It's not right.
Yeah, Lucas should not have been there.
Right.
Why didn't they go to the river court or something?
And then, Brooke is confused on why he might want to stay. And he says that she doesn't understand. She wasn't there. And she says she might not have been inside the school, but that doesn't mean she, hasn't carried the day around with her. And then that's when Rachel and Mouth walk up, and she continues saying,
well, yeah, Rachel says, I was there.
Yeah.
And basically, I'm okay with this. And it's like, but you're a different person.
Yeah.
And also, it was Keith.
She didn't know Keith, yeah.
But for Lucas, I mean, it was basically his dad. So the fact that, like, for Rachel to be like, well, I was there, but it's like, yeah, but you weren't a part of either Jimmy or Keith's life.
Right.
For that matter. You met Jimmy one time when you gave him the lighter.
Yeah, everybody had to stay differently than Lucas. Nobody's thinking about that. Like, it's more than just Jimmy.
Well, yeah, because it's like Jimmy and Lucas used to be friends, but at the same time, it was his uncle/father. Somebody was about to adopt him.
Yeah. And then, Lucas tells Rachel that this is wrong. Somebody died in that hallway. And then again, bad timing.
Oh my God, Mouth.
Yeah, Mouth.
2 people died.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm not going to lie. Lucas probably should have punched him.
Yeah. He's surprised if he didn't.
Why is Mouth so insensitive?
And then, Lucas tells Brooke he's sorry, but she knows she's trying to help. And he loves her for that, but he can't, and walks off. And then we see the title card for Fear. And then at Lucas's, we see his bedroom walls are now just like a long wallpaper of the river court. I'm surprised they didn't reveal this before into this episode.
I don't know. They always change up their rooms.
I know, I just thought it would be cool to see this beforehand.
Maybe he just did it.
Maybe, yeah. That's when Skills shows up. And Skills tells Lucas that him and guys.
Yeah, they're not going to Jimmy's funeral.
Yeah.
And he goes, I'll salt him up. But I was like, well, he's been tore up all episode.
Mm-hmm. And then Lucas gets deep and asks Skills if he thinks there's a heaven, like the pearly gates and angels. And Skills says he doesn't know all that. But he doesn't not think there's something out there.
And then, yeah, Lucas is just kind of torn because basically if there is, like, then, or, you know, like some kind of place, then, like, that means Jimmy and Keith would be in the same place. But it's like, well, nobody said he would go to heaven. Mm-hmm. You know, no one said that. But also, he's not the one that did it.
Right.
But then when he said, like, if there is, or whatever, like, Jimmy's a victim too, I was like, in the same kind of episode, he's hating on Jimmy.
Right. And back at school, Haley and Nathan are slow dancing. She asks Nathan if he thinks it's okay to, you know, love a love song and feel good when you hear it and laugh and be happy and be so in love that your heart aches. Is it too soon? And Nathan says it's never too soon to feel like that, and they kiss. So they could have kept that moment there instead of, you know, sleeping together.
Yeah, wow, they're supposed to be with Karen.
Yeah, this would have been more appropriate. And then, is Dan at his house? Because I thought Nathan changed the locks, or is he somewhere else?
Well, when Nathan was talking about Deb living in the house alone, so it means Dan moved out.
Yeah, and they just never clarified where, so I don't know where he was when he was there.
Going back to when they were talking, like earlier, Haley said she doesn't have a job. Because Haley said we don't have jobs. And I was like, what do you mean you don't have a job? You remember when she came back? Mm-hmm. Karen gave her a job again at Karen's Cafe.
Yeah, I know.
What does she mean she doesn't have a job?
I have no idea.
When did she quit Karen's Cafe?
I don't know.
I was like, what? Because we know later on she does work there. Mm-hmm. So I'm just kind of confused. I'm like, what do you mean you don't have a... I mean, obviously we haven't seen you, but it doesn't mean you don't work there. Mm-hmm. When did you quit? And also, the other thing is too, if she doesn't have a job, how is she paying rent for the apartment?
I don't know.
Because I highly doubt her parents are going to say, we'll loan you the money, when that just means you shouldn't be living on your own if you can't pay the rent. Like, if mommy and daddy have to pay for it, you shouldn't be living on your own. But remember, you wanted to get married, so there's that whole thing. And now that went to, you know, the crumbs. So I feel like, how is she paying for this if she has no job? Because I thought that was the whole thing of she has a job at Karen's Cafe, so she can pay half of the rent. Mm-hmm. But now all of a sudden, because I know Brooke gets her money from her parents, but how is Haley paying then?
I don't know. I can't imagine there'd be some leftover money from the tour. So
it's just odd because I'm like, that's why she went back, because she also wanted to be her old self. Mm-hmm. So it just doesn't make any sense because Nathan's not loaning her money.
Right.
Because he didn't even know if he wanted to be with her. Mm-hmm. So I'm like, what? But again, he doesn't even have a job. Mm-hmm. And her parents definitely aren't going to loan her money.
Right.
So it doesn't make any sense that she wouldn't have a job. Mm-hmm. I could see for her to say, you don't have a job. Like, how are we going to pay off of one person's part-time job? Mm-hmm. I could see that point. But for her to just come on and say, we don't have jobs, that doesn't make any sense.
Right. And then, so Dan has that dream of seeing the young Keith again, but then when he turns on the light, he's gone. And then Karen's packing up Keith's things at his house when Dan walks in.
I'm not gonna lie. Kind of looked like Nathan's room.
Oh, yeah, so I was wondering what it was.
It's like, did they just take out a few things and act like it's Dan's room?
Yeah.
Or it could they didn't want to waste a set.
Yeah.
So it's like, let's just make it Dan.
Maybe he was at the beach house. I forgot about that. They haven't chilled out for a while.
Yeah, but it still looks like his room.
Yeah.
And I do find it funny that he's having a hard time with this.
Yeah. Yeah, so Karen, doubts that he was having trouble sleeping. And he asks if he can help her. She says no, because he was horrible to Keith. Is it any wonder he can't sleep? And he says it doesn't matter because he loved him. And Karen said that's great, but how does it feel to know he can never take any of it back?
Yeah, that for the rest of your life, all you have is regret over a relationship you could have repaired with a few kind words.
Mm-hmm. And then, of course, Dan has to push it by saying maybe he'll find the word for Lucas.
What's he talking about? Okay, so when he says that, and then he says that Lucas pulled him out of the fire, he also forgets to mention that after that, he choked him to death, almost to death.
Yeah.
So for him to say, like, basically over the few words or whatever, he can repair it with Lucas, I was like, what are you talking about?
Mm-hmm.
You choked him.
Yeah.
Like, yes, does he know that you killed Keith? No. But you did try to kill him.
Mm-hmm.
And you pushed Peyton. So I feel like Lucas would not ever talk to you again.
Mm-hmm.
Plus, he was trying to go after you, remember?
Yeah.
With the whole Andy thing.
Mm-hmm.
So I was just like, there's no way that Lucas would be like all in on you.
Yeah.
Just because he doesn't have a father figure doesn't mean he'd go to you.
Yeah, I think he was just trying to mess with Karen, so.
Yeah, but I didn't like it.
And then Karen goes into Lucas's room when he's looking at a picture of him and Keith when he was a kid. And that's when she confronts him about the fire. Like, did he actually pull Dan out of there? And then, Karen goes off.
She like turned into someone else.
Mm-hmm.
And she said, you selfish, stupid boy. What?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Cynthia, what?
I mean, it makes sense for Miller to say this until the part, when Lucas is saying, like, he knows he's an idiot, that he shouldn't have done that and that it's his fault. If he didn't go back in there, Keith would still be here. And then, like I said, this is a moment I didn't like Karen because she tells Lucas, sorry, isn't going to bring him back, is it? So she was fine up until that moment. And the next is guilt.
But the problem is you can't erase the words you say.
Yeah.
And okay, so Karen says those terrible words to Lucas. Then something happens to Lucas.
Mm-hmm.
How do you then erase what you just said? You can't.
Right. Did she even apologize later or no?
I don't feel like she does. Not in this episode.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I don't know if later on she does, but I know this one she does not.
Mm-hmm.
Also, do you think, given that Keith died, do you feel like Andy would come back to make sure they're okay?
Yeah, I don't know.
Because when they left, they said, I love you to each other.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't like they said, I don't love you.
Mm-hmm.
That's why I'm leaving. They said they love each other.
Mm-hmm.
And now he's not going to show up. I just find it a little weird.
Mm-hmm.
Like, once he gets word, I feel like he would show up.
Maybe, yeah.
Like, it has been that long since he left.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, unless they just don't want to pay him to, come back.
That's probably why. Well, they wanted the storyline of Dan and Karen, that's why.
Yeah.
But I'm just saying, like, realistically,
Mm-hmm.
I feel like he'd try to come back.
Yeah. And then at the end of the party at school, Mouth puts Jimmy's picture back on his locker that Lucas ripped off. And Rachel walks up telling him he has to let it go. It's not his fault. Mouth says he wasn't thinking that. And Rachel says he was. He has this ridiculous notion that because they were friends once, he could have saved Jimmy. And Mouth asks what's ridiculous about that, and Rachel tells him because he couldn't have. And Mouth says he was Jimmy's best friend. And Rachel asks Mouth how many times did the guy call in the last year. He doesn't answer.
And then she talks about all the people that are there
Mm-hmm.
who probably forgot to stay in touch.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of weird. But then she wants to dance with them.
Right.
But I did like when he said that, like, even like they're sticking to their cliques and stuff. And like, why do people have to stick to cliques based on like sports and hobbies? And it's like, because that's what makes them friends.
Mm-hmm.
Innocent mouth not know that.
I don't know.
I just don't get it.
Mm-hmm.
Because let's be honest, even on Boy Meets World, Minkus wasn't like friends with them.
Mm-mm.
Because all Sean and Corey did was make fun of him.
Yeah.
So even then, it's like you weren't exactly a part of their friendship.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so, but that's just kids, and you can grow out of that when you're adults, but when you're in school, that's just what makes you friends because that's what you are interested in and can talk about.
Mm-hmm. And then Brooke walks into the tutoring center where Nathan and Haley are. She gives them the key to the apartment.
It's yours. It always has been.
Yeah.
I am glad she did that, but she's homeless now.
Yeah.
And also, so she's giving two people who don't have jobs an apartment?
I guess. Yeah.
Okay. That makes total sense.
Mm-hmm.
Don't Now if somebody gave me a key, I'd be like, how are we paying for this?
Right. And she didn't think ahead either because she doesn't know where she's going now.
So just all of a sudden, today. And then, okay, it's the same night, right, that they go home to the apartment?
Yeah.
So when did Brooke move all her stuff up?
Yeah, that was fast. I don't know.
Because it took her days to move in.
Yeah, and she was at the school for the longest time, I think. So I don't know.
She was. I feel like she was one of the last ones to leave.
Mm-hmm.
So why would she, even if she started at 5 p.m., which I know they basically went to the school at 5 p.m., like it started, and then it went into late in the night. Even if she had went home at 5 o'clock, she still would not be able to move all of her stuff, box it all up, move it all out by time they got.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's not like
It's like an all-day thing.
Mm-hmm. It's not like she could have had mouthed and paying help like they did moving her in. So
Yeah, that was the thing was she had helpers.
Mm-hmm.
Here she had nobody and she just moved.
Mm-hmm.
What'd she do? Get some freshmen to move all of her stuff out?
Mm-hmm.
It just doesn't make sense that all of a sudden I could see if she said, you guys can have it this weekend or something.
Mm-hmm.
But like to just give them the key then. Also, isn't this a school night? Didn't they just have school?
Yeah.
And now they're having a party?
Mm-hmm.
And think about it. If it's been like a week, they obviously had the weekend.
Mm-hmm.
So this is probably Monday.
Mm-hmm.
And now they're having a party? Wouldn't they have the party that weekend? Like Friday night? Why would they have a party Monday?
Guess they didn't think about it until then.
And because again, even if this was, let's say, Friday,
Mhm.
why would they go to school for the first day back on a Friday? Because that wouldn't make sense either, because you would want your students to rest and come back Monday. It just makes sense.
Yeah, I'm sure it's Monday.
It's kind of funny, unless they don't have school Tuesday.
Maybe, yeah. And then Nathan asks Lucas, or asks how Lucas is doing. And Brooke says she doesn't know because he left. She just wants to give him his space, but it's hard. But she tells him to go be happy, and one of these days they'll make them believe in true love. And Haley tells Nathan she wants to go find Lucas. Nathan agrees that they should both go. But before they leave, Nathan removes the tape from the floor.
Yeah, and then you get Haley's reaction. It's like, where was their reaction of like, she realized what happened?
No, my thing was, why is it even still there after all this time? Why didn't anybody else remove it?
Well, yeah, because when they come in and they get the evidence and check, for like DNA on blood and like all the crime.
Even though Nathan was the one that touched the tape, they should still have removed it before opening the
Well, yeah,
store.
because somebody has to come in and clean the blood.
Yeah, nobody.
Clean the building.
Yeah.
And then they would have taken the tape off.
Yeah, so that.
Because think about it, it was a crime scene.
Mm-hmm.
But then normally after crime scenes, they take it all off.
Yeah, I guess they just wanted to be like a message, like as a way of like it's fully done now and they can go back to their normal maybe. And Nathan put it on there, now he's taking it off. That way it makes sense.
I know, like a symbol of like he's the one that did it.
Yeah.
And like there was that divide. Mm-hmm. But my thing is like it should have been taken off. But also it just doesn't make sense. Mm-hmm. Because So, like, because you said that it was like the symbol of like it being over with, but I'm like, how when it's only been a week?
Right.
And how can you still go back to school and act like everything's okay even after this?
Mm-hmm.
I don't think it's believable.
Right. And then Karen found the adoption paper that Keith had for Lucas.
So, isn't she cleaning his apartment,
Yeah.
house, or
Yeah.
whatever it is?
Mhm.
I really hope she's keeping those adoption papers
Right.
because it's a memory that Lucas will want to have one day.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, me, I like to keep everything emotional.
Mhm.
And I just feel like that's one she definitely better keep.
Mhm.
And also because we know little Lily.
Mhm.
Lily may want to see it.
Yeah.
Because it might have his signature, and Lily might want to see her dad's signature.
Mhm.
I'm just saying.
Yeah. And then we see everybody, and it's not really even a montage because it's like overlaying each other for some reason, like half screen. And so yeah, we see Nathan.
Yeah, some of it didn't make sense.
Yeah.
Some of it was a memory, and some of it was present day.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like seeing Nathan throw the ball of tape into the trash can, and then Karen's holding Keith's shirt, remembering the memories with him. Lucas is in his car crying. And then we see Mouth and Rachel still dancing at school. There's a moment, and Rachel kisses him, and he asks why did she do that, and that's when she reveals that she was the one.
Yeah, she said, because in a moment you're going to hate me.
Yeah.
And then she tells him that she's the one that released it, and he goes, you're right, I do. And I'm like, so yeah, she does. She's the one that did it.
Yeah.
So, I mean, obviously, I don't think, okay, here's the thing. For Rachel for a second, I don't think she did it to be malicious.
Right.
I don't think she said or she thought for a second that this would cause damage like this at all. I don't think she did it. I don't even think she listened to his tape.
Yeah, I think
Because if she did, she might have thought twice. Might have.
Yeah.
But I don't think she even listened to it.
Yeah, I think she wanted to go after Brooke, probably looked up her tape.
She probably saw Brooke's tape, saw she was nude and said, this will be great. But she didn't listen to anybody else's because that would take hours.
Too much time.
And I think she just, again, saw Brooke's maybe, or she heard Brooke did it and and did that. I don't think for a second that she wanted this. But for her to confess to Mouth?
Yeah, and then he tells nobody. Right? Nobody else knows.
Yeah, at least not in this episode. I don't know about next, but because next they're all happy. So no, I don't think he tells anyone. Maybe later on he tells Lucas, but I don't think right now he does.
Right.
But again, I don't think she did it on purpose.
Right.
Because I don't, like, yes, she is malicious, but not like this.
Right.
Because, yeah, she does terrible things. And she hasn't stopped. Because we know the stuff, terrible things she'll do. But nothing to this extent.
Right. Yeah, so she's lucky that he didn't tell anyone, or else she would have been expelled if it got to Turner. Or even Brooke. She'd be in trouble if Brooke found out.
Or could you imagine what, like, Lucas would have done because he's so upset?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah. And then Lucas is in the cafe, or we get to do the depression part, and then Lucas is in the cafe.
Though again, Brooke probably would have beat him up.
Yeah.
Beat her up.
Yeah. When Nathan and Haley walk in, and I'm glad they had this moment with him because, Karen was no help.
Well, I'm glad they had it because, I love my Lucas and Haley moments. I love my Nathan and Lucas moments. So because again, Brooke's trying, but
not in the right way.
But we need people that he has that connection with. We need him to have his best friend. We need him to have his brother moments. We just need that. And so for basically those two to help him through it, that's who he needed. Plus also, they're the ones that weren't there. Maybe he would have been okay the day before if they would have showed up to his house instead of sleeping together. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
These two are also the ones that missed it.
Right. So I guess we're making up for it now.
Guilty. See, that's what, what you said. I haven't really seen him much. We know, because we know what you've been doing.
Yes.
But I did like when like she said it's not your fault. He would have went back in there.
Mhm.
And then I liked what Nathan said. Like, we could have been at Peyton's funeral.
Right, yeah.
And I'm like, exactly. Would you rather it? Okay. We know you don't want Keith, obviously, but it's like, we didn't want Peyton either.
Yeah,
Like, she needs, and she's the love of your life.
Mm-hmm.
Like, think about the future. If that would have been Peyton, there would be no love story anymore.
Mm-hmm.
There would be no baby.
No. He probably would have ended up with another woman.
No.
Maybe.
I feel like it would have been Lucas and Brooke.
Maybe. I don't know.
I think the writers would have made it Lucas.
Oh, yeah, because then they never would cheat again. Yeah, then yeah.
Because if there's no Peyton, then who's second best?
Yeah.
Brooke. Because even for the book, there was no one else that he really wrote about besides Brooke and Peyton. So it was either one or the other.
Yeah, so, Lucas says he couldn't save Keith, and Nathan points out that he couldn't either, so there's something they could have done. And Haley tells Lucas that Keith left him.
So Nathan didn't know Keith was in the building.
Right, yeah, that too.
Lucas did. Lucas is the one that left him, even though Keith basically told him, get your ass outside.
Yeah.
So, I mean, for that, Lucas is the only one that knew, basically, that he was in the building. Obviously, besides Evil Dan. But I'm saying, like, student-wise.
Yeah, because Peyton was passed out, too, by that point, so she didn't see him.
Yeah, so, I mean, Abby, but we don't know that yet.
Yeah.
But also, yeah, so Nathan didn't know. Also, what in the hell was Nathan going to do? He couldn't do anything when he was in the room.
Right.
Remember Mr. Hero? Mr. Hero is Lucas. Mr. Hero is not tough guy Nathan. So his little status went down from last episode. So now anytime he threatens somebody, I'm going to just laugh.
Right.
Because I'm going to remember that he did nothing in the school shooting besides participate in whatever Jimmy had going on. So that was my thing when he said, I couldn't save him either. And I'm like, you wouldn't have done anything. Clearly. Because if you did, you would have stopped it. And Keith wouldn't have went inside because you would have stopped it and everybody would have went home.
Right.
So technically that never would have happened if you would have just stopped Jimmy.
Yeah, and then Haley tells Lucas, Brooke loves him too. And because he said he's taking back his predictions, but she says, look at the first one. This year, I'll try again with Brooke. So,
Of course it is.
She's there for him, trying to be. And, yes, then Lucas goes back to the school to find her. But then,
and he's coach.
Yeah, just
okay, why is he there?
He probably wanted to be in his office, but then he walked in or...
He is the only one in the building.
Yeah, well, everybody cleared out. Yeah, the party's over.
Do you think the custodians would realize there's a party? Because here's the thing about custodians in schools. Like, there is day custodians and there's night custodians. There's, like, always somebody there.
No, maybe Turner gave them the day off after...
Custodians,
after the clean from the...
Legally, they, like... Well, yeah. They have contracts and they have to clean even if it's... because I always wondered, like, do they really have to clean during, like, spring break when nobody's in the building? But they do work during spring break. Did you know that? Well, so even if no one's in the, like, even if they had just cleaned it, apparently they still have to be there. So it wouldn't make sense that nobody would be there. And then when the custodians see the fact that they now have to clean up a mess that the kids made, yeah, they'd probably quit their job. So Whitey, though, did you see he was going to get a drink? Interesting. But it was funny because he goes, when Lucas goes, I can explain. And he's like, I'm not here.
Right. Nice that it beats kids getting drunk at school than kids.
When he says that,
yeah,
I'm like, first of all, that's bad that kids are getting drunk at school. But my second thing was like, all I could think about when he said that was now they're driving home drunk.
Right.
That's worse because their parents clearly don't know they're here. And now they're driving home. That's smart.
Yeah. And then Whitey tells Lucas he's been meaning to talk to him, but he's been crying. And, about Keith. And Lucas says Keith and his mom are going to get married. He's going to adopt him.
I think that was the thing was a lot of people are focusing on Lucas and Karen, but as they should. But Whitey was like Keith's best friend.
Yeah, and they go even deeper into that in this.
Well, because he's missed like that whole caring about Coach and Whitey, like what he's doing and how he's feeling because we're focused in this episode on those two, but I'm glad we had this scene because we also, as an audience, got to see like that's right. Keith and Whitey were very close.
And I did like too how he told Lucas that Keith was his dad, no matter what signs or faces.
I love that because when Lucas said he was going to adopt me, right, he was your father, and I'm like, oh, I love that. I mean, he was a little intense, but I was like, I'm glad he said it.
Yeah. And then Lucas tells Whitey he just wants Keith to come home, and it's not fair. And then that's when Whitey tells him about how things were bad after his wife died, but Keith was the one that put him out of it. And it was funny because he said that Keith might have even been the worst player he's ever coached, but he was the one to pull him to safety. And then Lucas tells Lucas that Keith said that, Coach, I know you want some answers, but what is the right answer? Because there is not an answer. That's just like...
Like when he said to Lucas, like, be the man Keith taught you to be. I liked that.
Yeah, and anything else would make this, greater tragedy. Yeah, that's true. And then Dan is still at Keith's grave when the whispers of young ghost Keith call out Dan's name again. And he sees the image of young Keith running around. He's whispering, "Why did you do this to me?" Dan said it's not going to work.
He said, I did it. It's done.
Yeah. And Dan tells him to keep coming around because he's not scared of him. And he'll sleep like a baby tonight. And
when was the last time Dan actually slept like a baby?
Right, he was just trying to be...
Because he either had Deb after him, or Keith, or somebody.
Yeah. And he said that Keith started this war and just finished it. And then he even, gives Keith, the ghost of Keith, a mean look and then spits on the grave. And then walks away when young ghost Keith is running behind him. So then Haley and Nathan get to the apartment.
Oh, so what's kind of funny is, when he's going off about, I did it, and, it's done. And it's but then why are you so, why are you having all these emotions and bothered by it if you are good with it?
Yeah. And then when Haley and Nathan get to the apartment, they see Brooke left a cute note saying, "Welcome back." That pink painted picture of Haley in the living room.
Yeah, they ever gonna take that down?
I don't know.
Please.
Yeah. And then in the bedroom, she left another note saying to true love. And that's what she made them that veil, blanket material for Karen's wedding dress.
Yeah. Then Haley said, if only it were raining.
And of course, Nathan has a plan for that.
Again, illegally.
Yeah. Everything they did in this episode was illegal. Or just wasn't thought out.
Well, sneaking into the school with alcohol and throwing a party is illegal.
Right, yeah. And Payne gets home, but her dad steps outside.
Oh my God, he was funny. He goes, do you know who a Pete from Freak Out Boy is? I busted all laughing.
I feel like that's closer to what Karen said in the masquerade party. I forgot what she said. I think it was maybe the opposite. But anyways, yeah.
But yeah, I just thought it was funny, Freak Out Boy. And, of course, Peyton has laughed. She goes, Fallout Boy? Yeah, whatever.
Yeah. But it was funny because he described him as someone who has tattoos, a goofy grin, and about as tall as a fire hydrant. So is he calling him short?
Yes.
So that was funny. Yeah.
So and I think, too, Peyton is tall.
Yeah.
So, just kind of funny.
And Larry says he can't believe he's about to say this to his high school-age daughter, but he's waiting in the limo and for her not to be long. And
okay, given how Pete looks older, you would really let your daughter
because
go with them.
Yeah, in real life they're the same age, right? I think.
Probably, but she's playing high school.
Character-wise, I think he has to be a little bit older. He can't be the...
Well, yeah, he's in a band and he's in his 20s or something, yeah, so it doesn't make any sense.
Back then they weren't that strict about older guys, with younger girls.
He says that I'm shocked I'm about to say this, but it's but you are allowing it.
Yeah.
Then again, look at what he has allowed. Her to live by herself.
Right. And then Dana's awake in bed, so much for sleeping like a baby. And then Whitey cleans the school from the party. And now is acceptance. Haley and Nathan are having a picnic on the football field. I guess they had enough to pack all that and take it with them. And
And then yeah, he talks about if you ever happen to lose me, like no, like you made me happy and stuff. So
yeah,
I mean, it was a nice moment, but
yeah,
I think they had too much lovey-dovey moments in this aftermath episode. I feel like
right. Yeah, like I said, I get they were like caught up in the moment of seeing how much they mean to each other now that they know how fragile and things are and can be taken away from them. But it just if they started this later in the episode, it would have been fine.
right, like after
Yeah,
they were dancing, and it was like
yeah,
let's not go home yet. Let's do something else, like crazy and in love, like that kind of thing. Yeah, and then they could have ended up in bed together.
Yeah, just then the sprinklers come on, and Nathan points out that she said she wanted rain. So she, said it's not this possible to be in love, and they kiss, and then Lucas comes into his room.
They do more than kiss.
Well, I didn't think it was going to be there, but. And then Lucas comes into his room to find Brooke lying on the bed. She said she was going to sleep in her car, but she heard a noise and thinks it was a bear or something, and Lucas asks where she was.
A bear.
Yeah,
a bear right there.
Yeah.
How'd you like that? A bear right there.
So it was funny when she said that she was just right there.
And he starts like smiling. It really was funny.
But then, he says how much has he told her how much he loves her today, and she says not really. And he says he does, and even when he doesn't tell her, it means a lot to him to know she's there.
And then this is where she brings up how she's glad that he saved Peyton, but she wished it was her. She said, I know it sounds like messed up, but I mean, it does, but it doesn't. Like, I get where she's coming from of like, you want him to always save you, but let's be honest, he's always saving Peyton. So, yeah, so I get that part, but I'm glad she told him that.
Yeah.
I mean, because here's the thing, Brooke is also the person that will just go through it and not tell anybody. And Lucas, being the boyfriend, needs to hear that.
Yeah.
But then he said, I'll save you as long as you save me, Ben. I was like, okay.
Yeah.
A little cheesy because of what happens.
Yeah. And then because she even brought up about him rescuing Dan, so she felt like she was the one that left out.
Yeah, but she was more talking about Peyton.
Yeah, I'm just saying. I guess everybody but her. And then she says she has something to do, so she goes to see Peyton. Peyton's sitting on the front porch.
Well, she's sitting, but.
Yeah, sitting on the front porch.
I thought you said standing.
Oh, no. And then, she asks how the leg is, and Peyton says.
The boy?
Yeah.
Peyton says, how's the boy?
Yeah, I don't know.
What?
That was weird phrasing.
I know. I was like, okay.
And then Brooke says he'll be okay, but that she's sorry because she shouldn't have left her there. She thought she was right behind her, and she should have made sure. And Payne tells Brooke what made her feel better when she was trapped in the library was knowing that her best friend was safe. And Brooke says she loves her for that, but there was something else that made her feel better in the library, her boyfriend.
Yep. But I'm also glad she told Peyton.
Yeah.
And she said, that she can't hold it against him because, the boy she loves would ever protected the girl she loves. But, so she makes up with Lucas, then she tells Peyton, like, she can't be mad at him or hold it against him. And I'm like, but you just made up with him. So basically, you're contradicting yourself.
Yeah, and Payne stands up, holding on to Brooke for support so she can tell her face to face that she cares about Lucas.
She's not going to hurt her.
Yeah.
I mean, to be honest, she didn't. I'm saying, like, from here on, from her saying this at this moment, she actually doesn't. She actually keeps her word.
Did they cheat again after this?
No.
Or was the kiss in the library the cheating that?
Kiss in the library.
Oh, I thought it was something else.
Yes, they do when it's Nathan and Haley's engagement party and they're trying to reenact. There is a reenactment of Peyton and Lucas, but that's also where she couldn't focus because she was thinking of Jake. So no, the kiss was the library.
Oh.
But that's why I said I don't believe that's the cheating. Okay. So when everybody makes it a big deal that they cheated again, I'm like, I don't consider it cheating. I mean, yeah, they could like each other, but that was it. They didn't take it anything else. They didn't say, let's meet up after. I mean, they were pretty smart.
Right. But they never specifically told Brooke about the kiss in the library, just that they were there together, right? And that was the hurt that she got that they didn't tell her.
Yes, I think so.
Yeah, because then she probably would assume that it's probably maybe started something like there was something before that. Maybe she was thinking if they were
Possibly.
keeping that from her, probably.
Well, I mean, they did go on a road trip together.
Mm-hmm.
And remember how the last road trip went?
Yeah. And then, Brooke starts crying, so Pam jokes how she was the one that got shot, but she needs to be comforted. And then Brooke helps.
I thought that was funny
Yeah.
when she carried her on her back inside.
Right.
Did you really she had to go up the steps?
Yeah, I was like, she could barely stand when Payne got on top of her, so
I know, she was about to fall over,
Yeah.
and you expect me to believe she went up the stairs.
Mhm, right. And then that's when they said Larry set up shelves for Ellie's records in Payne's room.
I love when he said that Brooke's moving in, because she was like, where's my bed? And he's like, well, I didn't think that, basically the bed was big enough. So he's getting two.
Yeah.
But that never happens.
I know, I thought about that
When
too.
he said he's getting two.
Because Brooke mentions a circled bed. Isn't that the bed they end up getting?
I don't know, but he said he's getting two singles.
So I think they changed their mind, told Larry they wanted that circle bed.
But he's paying for it, so
well, maybe
if he said he was getting two singles, I'm like, where's the beds?
Yeah, I don't know, maybe she paid it.
Because I feel like you would need the beds because where are they sleeping? Because she said, where's my bed?
Right.
Also, that bed was big enough for the two of them.
Right.
How many times did Brooke spend the night?
Yeah.
So the bed was technically.
I mean, I get maybe the shelves didn't look like they took out that much room either.
No, I didn't believe about the bed situation because I'm like, first of all, she had a queen size apparently, and plus she was in that same bed with Jake and Jenny.
Yeah.
So don't tell me that Brooke and Peyton couldn't be in the same bed together.
I did like Larry when he told Peyton that he's sure that Ellie had hoped that when she played these albums that she would remember her and would be with her through the music. So I like that part.
Maybe Larry was thinking that like this would be like a nice nod to like Brooke of like, I'm getting you your own bed. Like you don't have to share in Peyton's bed. This is your bed.
Yeah.
Sort of thing.
Making her feel more welcome.
Yeah, like a new start. Except for it's just kind of funny.
Yeah, and Brooke gets excited because then she can teach Peyton the scrunchie system.
And Peyton's like, no.
Yeah. And then,
but it was funny because like Peyton's like, oh, I gotta tell you about that she hooked up with Pete from Fall Out Boy, and Brooke was like, we'll get you, we'll find you a boyfriend. Like,
I doesn't believe her. Yeah.
And did you see Peyton's face? She's like, like, you don't believe me.
Yeah. And then Karen is at home washing dishes and drops a glass in the sink, and it was actually the one.
That was hard to watch.
Yeah, because her hand.
Because his shop isn't open. It's not like you can go and get another mug.
Yeah, because I think it's still open, but like it's all Dan's now, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so
he changed the name.
Yeah, so everything's different, yeah.
So, I mean, yes, like nowadays you can go make one, but not back then. And so I'm just like, that was so hard because that was probably the only cup she had that said Keith Scott.
And then what was worse for her was that she sees that Lucas is dressed up for Jimmy's
Yes. So here's the thing. Obviously she yells at him, tells him, take it off, go change. Tells her he's not, he's going. So when they go, right, to the funeral, all of them, I was like, in this moment, they don't realize it, but pretty soon they're going to be glad they went. Yeah. Because they're going to find out the truth.
Yeah, that Jimmy was innocent in Keith's death, yeah.
Just think about it. If they didn't go,
they would have regrets.
And then Lucas found out the truth, he would have, think about it, he would not have been able to, truly get over it, knowing what he did to Jimmy by not being there for him. Yeah. He wasn't there in the last year for him, but then on top of it, he didn't even go to his funeral. Yeah. So I'm glad that all of them went, because they were all, besides Mouth, all on Lucas's side. Yeah. And Mouth was sort of forced to be on his side. Don't you think the mouth was still would have just went
Yeah, he would have. Yeah.
and not and said he didn't go, but really he did?
Maybe, yeah.
Because think about it, the whole episode was all about Jimmy.
Mm-hmm.
And so when they said, like, we're not going, I'm like, well, probably still would. I mean, it was just his mom. Who's going to say if he was there or not?
Mm-hmm.
I feel like his mouth does stuff that he wants to do. So I feel like he would have went against them.
Yeah. Yep, so that was it.
So for me, my high was them going to the funeral.
Yeah.
Jimmy's.
Mm-hmm.
Because again, they're gonna be happy that they did.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Not right now, but they're gonna be happy.
I'm sure there were fans when this first aired that weren't happy that they went, knowing, thinking the same as them, thinking that Jimmy killed Keith.
Oh, we saw it.
Oh yeah, what am I thinking? Yeah.
Like the fans saw that Dan is the one that killed Keith.
Right.
And Keith was already dead.
Well, they're probably mad at Mouth at least.
For what?
For trying to seem like Jimmy was innocent the whole time.
He was.
I know.
I mean, he was when it came to Keith.
Yeah.
Well, I think they maybe did that because they didn't want like Jimmy to go totally out as like the worst character on the show, as like the enemy.
Yeah.
Like as shooters are.
Mm-hmm.
They're the devil.
Mm-hmm.
That's probably why it's like, let's try to get somebody to make it
like humanize him.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Where he was an actual person. So yeah, that's maybe what they were doing.
Mm-hmm.
But it didn't work in this episode.
Yeah, well, I've seen worse. So.
And so that was the best. The worst was how Karen was treating Lucas. Like, I get she's upset, but
she went too far.
Mm-hmm. She said things she can't take back. And also, she's to blame for why she didn't have enough time with him.
Right.
Because he wanted to propose when she got back.
Mm-hmm.
And they could have also been together when Lucas was little.
Right.
Because clearly neither one of them dated. Mm-hmm. So she's kind of to blame. Do you think maybe she feels guilty for that?
Yeah.
That they were only friends for all those years. Mm-hmm. And she's taking it on Lucas? Mm-hmm. I'm thinking maybe that's why too. Mm-hmm. Also, do you think she knows she's pregnant?
Maybe. I don't know.
And like, that's also why she's angry of like going after Lucas of like, she knows she's pregnant and he'll never see the baby.
I don't know.
I'm wondering when she knew.
Mm-hmm. It's not with Haley when she finds out, right?
No. Because Haley finds out with Brooke.
Mm-hmm. You know, in the same episode?
Well, it's revealed. Karen's is revealed first in the finale.
Oh, okay.
Or in the next episode of season 4.
Oh, okay.
One or the other. Mm-hmm. Because remember, it's the pregnancy test that Lucas finds in one of the back purses. And he thinks it's Brooke.
And everybody thinks it's Brooke, but it's Haley, or is that separate? Because I know everybody thinks that Brooke's pregnant when it was actually Haley, so...
It might have been Haley.
So that happens all in the same episode then?
Well, it happens at the wedding, because Brooke made all those... Or no, it wasn't the pregnancy test that he found. It was something else, I thought.
I think it was. Yeah, now I remember when we were talking about yeah.
I don't know, but... But yeah, I just wonder when she found out she was pregnant. Because obviously by this point she is, because he's gone.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I just didn't like the way she was treating him. Because he's going through it too.
Yeah.
You would think that you'd be working together, not against each other. But I know she has all these feelings. Mm-hmm. She should really take him on a Dan, though.
Right, yeah.
Just because he was a jerk. She doesn't know. She doesn't need... Well, she doesn't need to know that, or, she doesn't need to throw things at him because, he killed her. He killed him. She can do it now with just of how he treated him all these years. Yeah. And how he treated Lucas.
Yeah.
So there's that. What about you?
Yeah, same thing. Yeah, for both.
Did you like the party?
Not really. Like, I get what they might have tried to do, but they just didn't do it the right way, and having Lucas be invited and everything. So
And also having, I feel like those places, the library, tutoring center should have all been off limits.
yeah, at least.
Because how is that going to heal you? It's only going to bring back the memories. So there's that. I would rate this an 8. I thought it was better than the last couple. And I thought it was entertaining to see kind of like their emotions and what was going to happen. Also, Chad was really good in his performances.
Yeah.
And Karen scared me.
Yeah. Yeah, I would say an 8 too, just because it was really sad, and I didn't like Karen and how she reacted to everything until that point with Lucas blaming her blaming Lucas for Keith's death. Yeah, that was just uncalled for.
Right.
And then worst and best.
So for me, I picked the worst. I picked Karen because I did not like the way she was treating him. And I picked the best was Whitey because he really got through to Lucas. And I think Lucas needed that from him, like from a male figure that could possibly be a father figure. Because Whitey could be.
Yeah.
So I think too, because Whitey had all the history with Keith, that he was telling him basically what Keith would have told him. So I thought Whitey was the best. Plus, he didn't tell on the kids.
Yeah. My worst is Dan, just because.
Dan.
Well, just because he was messing with Karen when he went to the house.
Yeah, but he told the truth of what Lucas did. And she needed to know that her boy went into the fire.
Yeah, I'm talking about when he said that maybe he'll have those words with Lucas just to push her buttons. And we know that he's going to take advantage of her later on and her.
Lucas.
Yeah. And then Dan's just like, he's trying to act like this doesn't bother him, but obviously it does, because that's why he's seen Keith and he can't sleep, even though he says he will. And then I liked Whitey too, but I also liked Brooke because at least with Haley and Nathan, she was doing right by giving them back the apartment and giving.
It's not smart though. They don't have money.
I know, but that was their apartment beforehand. Everything happened, and
yeah, but she was homeless.
I know. I'm just saying, like for them, just for them and taking care of them, like how she did that, and then make that little veil thing for Haley and Nathan out of the material for Karen's dress. So.
And then yeah. So you did that. What's the next episode?
Episode 18, when it isn't like it should be. It still is a continuation of all this. But
it is, but it's lighthearted.
Yeah, it starts getting a little bit lighter from here on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Thanks for listening.
Yep. I'll see you next time.
Bye.
Bye.
Thanks for listening to this episode of Duo Chat. If you want to chime in with your opinion about the episode and the show we discussed, you can email us at duochatpodcast@gmail.com. And to keep up with updates about the podcast, you can follow us on Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, and subscribe to our channel on YouTube at Duo Chat Podcast. And give us a review wherever you listen to podcasts. We would appreciate it.